us by still waters into mercy, and nothing can keep us apart. So remember your people, remember your children, remember your promise, oh God. Your grace is enough. Your grace is enough. Your grace is enough for me. Great is your love and justice, God of Jacob. You use the weak to lead the strong. You lead us in the song of your salvation, and all your people sing along. So remember your people, remember your children, remember your promise, oh God. Your grace is enough. Your grace is enough. Your grace is enough for me. Your grace is enough. Your grace is enough. Your grace is enough for me. For me.
Who breaks the power of sin and darkness, whose love is mighty and so much stronger, the King of glory, the King above all kings, who shakes the whole earth with holy thunder and leaves us breathless and awe and wonder, the King of glory, the King above all kings. This is amazing grace. This is unfailing love, that you would take my place, that you would bear my cross. You laid down your life, that I would be set free. Oh, Jesus, I sing for all that you've done for me. Who brings our chaos back into order, who makes the orphan a son and daughter, the King of glory, the King of glory, who rules the nation with truth and justice, shines like the sun in all of its brilliance, the King of glory, the King above all kings. is amazing grace. This is unfailing love, that you would take my place, that you would bear my cross. You laid down your life, that I would be set free. Oh, Jesus, I sing for all that you've done for me. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Worthy is the King who conquered the grave. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Worthy is the King who conquered the grave. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Worthy is the King who conquered the grave. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Worthy, worthy, worthy. Oh, this is amazing grace. This is unfailing love, that you would take my place, that you would bear my cross. You laid down your life, that I would be set free. Oh, Jesus, I sing for all that you've done for me.
Oh, I've heard 1,000 stories of what may think you're like, but I've heard the tender whisper of love in the dead of night, and you tell me that you're pleased and that I'm never alone. You're a good, good as you call me deeper still into love. Love, you're a good, good Father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are. And I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. You're a good, good Father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are. And I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. Through many dangers, toils, and snares, I have already come. 'Twas grace hath brought me safe thus far, and grace will lead me home. When we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, we've no less days to sing God's praise than when we first begun. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. Was blind, but now I see.
was good. It's always fun. Like on the fourth song, y'all don't clap, but like a second because you're sitting down. You're like, all right, let's sit down. That was awesome. I'm gonna start preaching on grace like every 2 weeks, just so he has to sing that song. I don't think Kenny and Dolly could do that one any better than y'all two do it. I mean, it's awesome. They say, the experts, and Lori and I saw it on an episode of Bull, so it's got to be true, that like music has this physiological and psychological effect on you. It's a calming thing, and it's good now for they say that it's good for people that are in comas and things like that. They let them listen to music and it stimulates their brain. I just tell you that to say this, that I could just sit there. I told Laura I could just sit there and close my eyes and listen to those two sing Amazing Grace all day long. If y'all aren't busy during the week, y'all can come over and sing it at night, and I can go to sleep just sitting there. Kevin can take care of the kids, and we'll go from there. Grace is what we're going to talk about today. It's an interesting topic, and I think we misunderstand it a lot of times, just to be honest. I've been thinking about an intro. I don't know that there's a perfect one for anything ever, but, I was thinking about it like this. Some people struggle with grace. They really do. Because of pride in us, we don't want to let people give us things or help us with things. And then some people struggle with grace the other way. They go too far. They take advantage of people and their grace at times. Most of us will not turn down a free vacation if somebody wants to pay for it. Now, there are some of you that have enough pride and go, oh, I'm not letting them pay for anything because nothing is free. And you're right. Somebody pays for your vacation, they may demand a few things, and they may hold it over your head. I don't know. But most of us that have any inclination toward the beach, if somebody says, hey, let's go to the beach and I'm paying for everything, we're like, let's go. I don't even like that person, but it's a free trip to the beach, so let's go. And so we take advantage of that, and we like their hospitality. We like their gifts. Now, we don't want them every time we go out to eat. They've said they'll pay for everything. Go, well, no, I'm paying for this, but you better eat every bite, and you can only eat this. And that's kind of not really grace. And then we go the other way, and somebody invites us to the beach for a week. We don't want to get down there, and be nasty and destroy their condo and drink all their drinks and eat all their food and stuff. So that's kind of taking advantage of grace. Well, also there's a third way to look at it, is that if they have invited us and they say, look, we don't expect anything, but every day they get up and we're trying to cook and we're trying to sweep and clean and we do things. We're like, oh, let us carry all the floats and the towels down the pools, and we're constantly trying to do everything. And say, no, you're not going to do anything because you pay for all this. And they're saying, look, it's fine. It was just a gift. We're trying to, quote unquote, earn that stay for the week. And there are some of us that do all of these things when it comes to God's grace. We have a little bit of a misunderstanding of it at times. As Baptists, we have a decent grasp on God's saving grace, but then we struggle with other areas of his grace. There is what we call common grace, which is what God has for all of us. All of mankind has common grace. If you go to Romans 1 and you read that, you understand it, that God created us with enough brains and enough sense to recognize that, hey, there has to be a creator for this somewhere. That's common grace. In this room today, we all share some common grace. The fact that we all live in America is grace. The fact that we get to see this beautiful sunshine today is grace. And the fact that we have oxygen to breathe is grace. That's common grace. It's shared. Then there is more specific grace, and that's in your individual life. That is not only the effectual grace of God's calling in your life, wherever you may have been 9, 10, 11 years old, 17 years old, 47 years old, that God had you at that service or God had you at that particular place in your life. But also there is specific grace in just that God has blessed you, maybe with health, maybe with family. I was thinking about this last night. I've been blessed beyond measure. My children and Lori and I, we still have three of our four parents. My children get to have 3 of their 4 grandchildren. They are being able to be raised around a close family. A lot of kids don't have that. Lori and all these school teachers will tell you, all the children don't have what my children have to get to grow up in the homes that they grow up in. That's grace. That's God's grace. It's nothing that we did. God didn't say, oh, I'm going to make the perfect parent here, and Joe Bailey, he's going to be. That's not what it is. It's God's grace. And so we have to understand that. So what we've been looking at is that you have to backtrack. Welcome all you online people, by the way, all the way from Michigan, Guatemala, and all our people that aren't here today. If you're online and you're listening, to get the full effect, you have to go back 4 or 5 sermons to understand that I shared with you some personal stuff that I was going through with anxiety and spiritual warfare. And as I was reading through this back in the winter, November, December, October, even when I was going through these great struggles, again, I told you last week, doesn't mean they're over, but the sunshine's starting to come out. And so as I was looking at this, and Paul, this passage kept coming up, and Paul said that God gave him this great revelation, but in order to not be proud about it, and I told you in my own life that God has showed me some things that needed to quit being proud about. God gave him this stake or this thorn in his side. Physical, yes, more than likely. Spiritual, obviously. Psychological, yes. All those things. It could have not only been debilitating illness, it could have been malaria, it could have been his eyesight, but it also could have been these people that were badgering him spiritually. It could have been, obviously this, it could have just been Satan himself. And so we don't know for sure. We do know what Paul says. It says, therefore, so that I would not exalt myself. This is in verse 7. We're going to get to our passage today. A thorn in the flesh was given to me, a messenger of Satan to torment me, so that I would not exalt myself. Concerning this, I pleaded with the Lord 3 times to take it away from me. It's what we looked at last week. But he said to me, and here's where we look at this week. So where Paul's at, he's got this problem. He's begged God to take it away from him. And now God answers him. And God says, my grace is sufficient for you. He doesn't say no, but that's the way of him saying no. He says, my grace is sufficient for you, for power is perfected in weakness. Now, next week we'll look at that, how power is perfected in weakness. But today I want us to look at 3 quick things about grace. Is that, or 4, I guess if we look at this first one here, is that God did answer. Now, God's going to answer your questions. I told you last week, it's okay to plead with God. It's okay to ask God for mercy and grace in certain situations. Doesn't mean he's going to always give you what you want. It doesn't mean he's going to say yes. Doesn't mean he's going to say no. He may say yes. He may say no. He may say, wait a little while longer. He's going to answer. And you say, well, I just haven't got a firm answer right now. Well, that may be your answer, that he's saying, hold on a little bit longer. Just wait. I have to tell my children that. If I'm on the phone or talking to someone and they have a question and then I have to come back and they'll say, well, you didn't answer me. I said, that's what that finger meant. Hold on, okay? I'm talking to someone or I'm texting someone, and at my age, at 45, I can't text and talk to you at the same time. I'm just not mentally capable because I'll be texting all kind of stuff if I'm trying to do that, and there's no telling what I'll say. So I said, let me finish this, but I don't have to verbally say anything. And sometimes that's what God tells us. But he did answer him. I want you to understand that he did answer him. And this is what he says. My grace is sufficient for you. The first word is not a big one. It just says my. Understand this, that you did absolutely nothing to earn, keep, or deserve God's grace. It is God's grace. All right? Not ours. He didn't say, Paul, your grace. He says, my grace. Now, we, again, as Baptists, we kind of understand God's saving grace at times, because we understand that we are saved by grace. Most of us do. That we do nothing to earn it. We'll look at what the word grace means in a minute. We understand that God's grace is giving, that it is a free gift. We'll look at all that here in just a minute as well. But where we tend to struggle is that we miss the other points of God's grace. We tend to do very well with God's grace that saves, but we struggle with God's grace that sustains. We may not even think about God's grace that calls. You see, wherever you gave your life to Jesus Christ, wherever it might have been and whatever time it might have been, God had been working in your life to get you to a certain point. And it is he that calls you. It is he that convicts you through the Holy Spirit. You did nothing to it. You brought nothing to the equation, and you really bring nothing out. Now, we do have, and this is where we split at least a little bit on terminology from a lot of our Presbyterian friends and maybe some of our Reformed friends who believe about 98% of the things we believe. But we differ on this little thing where they say we bring nothing to the table, where I say we do have to make a choice. We have a choice to either reject Jesus Christ or trust in Jesus Christ. And that's where, but now don't get me wrong, the Bible is very clear that God is the one who calls us. God is the one who convicts us. You see, where we struggle many times as children of God, and this is where I was struggling, it was not the grace that saves, it was the grace that sustains. And so what the devil does is he attacks us on our weaknesses, like I said, and he comes at us and goes, okay, well, you said you were saved by grace when you were 12 years old, but if you were really saved, you shouldn't be living like this. If you were really saved, you can fill in the dots. If you were really saved, you wouldn't be doing this, thinking this, acting like this. And so what we do then is try to, like I said with the analogy, we started trying to earn God's grace. And we start trying to do things. And we start trying to pray more and read the Bible more and come to church more and sing more. And we try to earn it, and we can't earn God's grace. There's not enough good in us to do that. And so this salvation thing is not only by grace we are saved, it is by grace we are sustained. Everything is a gift. Now, as I'm working through a lot of this stuff, and I was and I've talked to a lot of pastors and people about a lot of things over the last 6 months of my life. And one of the things that I know Dad said, I'll turn to this chapter here. He says, what does Jesus say right here? He says, I will make you fishers of men. We've misinterpreted that most of our life. We think, oh, I'm saved. Jesus wants me to be a fisher of men. Yes, he does. And so we say, that means we've got to meet here on Monday night and go out and visit. That means I've got to do this at work. I've got to tell people this. I've got to do this at school. I've got to do this. I'm not saying any of that's wrong. In fact, all of it's right. It's okay to come and have an organized, going out and visit. It's okay to obviously talk about people at work or at school and those things. But the text says, I will make you fishers of men. Now, for a lot of us, we try to force it. And I've done it. I've been guilty. I won't embarrass him. Good friend of mine that goes to church here, he was there one day when I did it at a restaurant, forced it. We didn't get a refill. I scared that server to death. He was like, thanks a lot. I think Jesus could have waited 10 more minutes before I at least got a refill. I mean, we're over there dying, like choking our food down. I'm raising my hand. She's looking the other way. Because I forced something, because I was like, I ain't got but so much time. I've got to tell her about Jesus right now because nobody else in the world can do it but me. And so I was a little bit forceful. And it wasn't because I had an overarching desire for her to know Jesus. It was that I thought if I didn't do it, I was not being the best Christian. Now, do we tell people about Jesus? Absolutely. You say, I'm scared. Okay. Ask God to help you get over that. What does he say? I will make you. He will mold us into it. Now, 10 years ago, I wasn't the great preacher that I am now. Okay? Thank you, Keith. I mean, you got that. All right? It takes time. It takes time. Most of you at your craft, I'm going to be serious this time, most of you at your craft are better now than you were when you started it. Hopefully. If you're a teacher and you're worse now than year 23 than you were in year 1, the principal's probably like, I wish she would quit, or I wish he would quit, or whatever it may be. If you're a nurse and you're still messing up taking blood, they're probably like, I really wish she'd find another profession. But most of you are better at your craft than you were when you started it. Now, as believers, same thing. That's sanctification. We're going to get there. God works in us. He doesn't, most 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds that get saved, they're not ready for a lot of things. They're not ready to go hold evangelism conferences across the road at the football field. They're not ready to be a deacon. They're not ready to teach Sunday school. And if you're a new believer, You say, I am scared to death to share my faith. That's okay. Ask God to make you that. It is his grace that does it. So, his grace not only does that, but it sustains us. And that's what I'm getting to in all this. That God saves us. We get that, but then we think when we mess up and we sin that we lose it. It has nothing to do with us. It's his grace that keeps us saved. And so that's where we struggle a lot of times. And so he says, not no, but he says, my grace. In other words, you did nothing. You did nothing to be born where you were born. Don't think highly of yourself because you have money or you have a good job or because you have two parents in the home or because you did nothing. Okay? One of the reasons I love like the school teachers is because they see a lot of these children that come from these homes and they understand grace. They understand that kids come to school every day, they're hungry, they're brokenhearted, they're mistreated. You never know what they're coming from. And the teachers see this and they're reminded on a daily basis of, I'm so thankful. I can't tell you how many times Lori comes home and goes, I'm so thankful for what we have here. Because we did nothing. God didn't go, oh, these four here, they're such a great family. Let's just protect them. It's God's grace. I can't explain it. I don't know why God chooses to do certain things with certain people and not with me. But you have to realize this is part of the humility that Paul's struggling with. And God says, no, I don't need you to be puffed up. I just need you to understand you've done nothing to earn this or keep this. But then he says this, my grace. What does that word mean? Charis in the Greek. It means gift. It means the condo's paid for at the beach. And you did absolutely nothing to earn it. Nothing. It's a gift. Now here's the thing with a gift. You can either accept it or you can reject it. Now I got news for you. If you come up to Lori, she's going to have to really not like you a lot to turn down a free trip to the beach. Okay? You go, I don't have a lot in common with them. We'll learn each other that week. If you say, hey, I got 7 days on the beach, the weather says it's going to be 85, 90, she's like, I got my sub already. I got one on standby, all right? She's going to the beach with you. You don't have to say, well, if you say free beach, she's gone, okay? Now, you could, some of you would reject it. Dad being one of them. He hates the beach, okay? He once drove to Lambert's and ate and turned around and come home. I'm not kidding. I think he spent the night. One night. He drove 6 hours, ate a roll, went to bed, and come home. All right? Everybody else stayed 7 days. He said he has not lost anything at the beach. He has no desire to be there. Okay? Now, the same thing, grace is a gift. Once you realize that you did nothing to earn it and nothing to keep it, and it is all Jesus Christ, you can either say, yes, I want that, or you can reject him and say, no, I'm fine doing it my way. But the kicker to that is when you reject Jesus Christ, the Bible says you spend an eternity separated from him in hell, in condemnation. Now here's the beautiful part of this verse. The word here is in perfect tense. I'm not a Greek scholar, not even an English scholar, obviously. But the perfect tense here means it's never broken. In other words, read it like this. But he said to be, my grace is sufficient. That means it's forever. In other words, if you are saved, guess what? You're going to keep my grace forever. No matter what you do, you can't unearn it. And so that's the beauty of this verse. And then the last one is this. He said, not only is it mine and not only is it my grace, he said, it's sufficient for you. What does that word mean? All we need. It's pretty simple. All we need is his grace. We don't need us. We don't need our brain. We don't need our looks. We don't need our work ethic. We just need his grace. Now, does that mean we quit? No. That's the part I was telling you about earlier. That's the part where people misuse grace. What does Paul say? So that means I keep on sinning? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Now here's what grace does. Once we get a firm foundation and a firm, recollection of what God's grace is, it also makes us understand really who we are. And that we not only need it, but we have to have it. It's all sufficient, but it's not only all we need, but it is the only thing that we need. Now, again, a normal human being, everybody's not normal. Coach, give me about 5 minutes. Everybody's not normal. Y'all know that. A normal human, if somebody comes up to you and goes, hey, man, just been thinking about you. I don't know why God laid you on my heart, but I got a condo at the beach. We're going down. We got 2 or 3 extra bedrooms. Won't you bring your family down? It's paid for. Trust me. Meals, I got it. God's told me to do this. Most people are going to be like, okay, let me check, make sure. And then you go and, it's good. Most people are not going to go down there, and abuse that grace. Stay up to 3 a.m. watching TV, letting the kids play hide and seek at 1 a.m. while they're in the bed, trashing the place, eating all the food and the groceries or in the refrigerator and leaving drinks out, putting food under the couch like teenage boys do, stuff like that. You're not going to do that. And then they get 2 chairs at the beach, and you get in there first and get those 2 chairs and goes, well, the early bird gets the worm, Y'all can sit over there on the sand. Most people aren't going to do that because you have a little bit of understanding that, hey, this is a gift. When you are a child of God, you're not, and you shouldn't want to take advantage of his grace. You just shouldn't. You should have a recollection or just an understanding of like, this is God's grace. It's a gift. And I'm going to praise him for it every day. And I'm going to ask him to keep helping me understand it, recognize it, and live a life of grace myself. And that's not only with our relationship with Jesus, but a relationship with other people. Now here's where we get really close, Coach, to ending. What does grace, what does a firm understanding of grace do? It drives out that pride. Y'all can come on, Charlie. Everybody can come on. It drives out that pride. It really does. When you live a life of grace and grace is in you, it pushes that flesh out, pushes that pride out, and it draws us closer to Jesus, which is what Paul was talking about and which is what God wants out of us. Why did all this happen? Why did he get the thorn in the flesh? Because he was full of pride. And God said, I don't need you full of pride. I need you full of Jesus. And so that's kind of sometimes what he has to do to all of us. So here's where we are. Go ahead and stand, please. Catfish, y'all hold on one more second before you shut me off. I don't know where you're at today. I really don't. I mean, some of you, maybe you've already been humbled this week, but I do know this. Most of us struggle with pride. We all struggle with the flesh. In fact, we all struggle with pride. I don't know if God right now has a stake in you. I don't know if he's in a humbling process, if you're in a storm. But I do know this. Everything in life is about grace. And the quicker you realize it, the easier your life will be. Not just saving grace, but sustaining grace. You said, I don't know if I can make it. Can't tell you how many times I've said that in the last 6 months. I don't know how much more of this I can take. Maybe that's where God needs us. So we finally realize that we can't do it on our own. We can only do it through his grace. So you be obedient this morning. God's spoken to you. I'll be down front. The altar's open. We're going to sing this entire song. Coach or Haley, whoever sings it, you sing it with them. You pray. You do what God tells you to do.
I have decided to follow Jesus. I have decided to follow Jesus. I have decided to follow Jesus. No turning back, no turning back. The world behind me, turning back. Though none go with me, still I will follow. Though none go with me, still I will follow. Though none go with me, still I will follow. No turning back, no turning back. I have decided